Awesome. Great. We're here, right? We're here, right here on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Woo! We're here with the Life, Love, and Money Show with Summer and my favorite partner, Jen Fontanilla.
Oh my gosh, we see you all joining us. Make sure you drop in the comments. Let us know how you're doing. And don't forget to hit the share button. We're talking about financially toxic relationships. Okay, it's not even when we share the bills or somebody's not contributing. We're going to be covering that. So excited for today's topic.
Oh yeah, it's a goodie. By the way, let me read the question because people submit their questions and they're so good. We want to make sure that we cover them on the show. That's what this is all about. Okay, you ready?
Let's go.
Let's just jump right into this. I have a partner that I've been with for 2 years. She saves all of her money and I pay for all of the bills. The money she saves is in her account where my money is in a joint account. I think her money is also our money, but she doesn't feel the same way. How do I approach this with her? Question mark. Whew.
Take it away, Summer.
It's such a good one. It is such a good one. First of all, I would ask you, did you assume responsibility for the bills when you established this relationship, when you moved in together, or when you just got together? Did you assume the responsibility? The person writing this question. And I would have so many questions for you. And I asked this question because it's important to figure out how this pattern of behavior was established. So important. So I would then have even more questions like, is she hoarding her money, or is she just living under the assumption that since you assumed responsibility for paying the bills, this is how the money situation was established and she can just do this, that whatever she would like to do with her money is her money. So maybe this bill or this idea or this whole pattern of behavior was established from the beginning and she doesn't feel like she needs to contribute to the financial wellness of the relationship. Then I would say, you do mention that you've brought this up before. So it does sound like that there's something going on here, that you have brought this up, but it hasn't went well necessarily. So here's what I would say to that. Money meeting. It's time to have a money meeting and be really open. I would plan a date and a time with her to talk about money matters. I would come into this meeting with an open heart, an open mind, but be prepared. I mean, be really prepared. Be prepared with your list of bills, the monthly expenses, your spreadsheet. Be prepared and have some idea about what you would like this person to contribute. You will want to talk about this plan and identify what reasonable contributions each of you can make, because maybe one is not making the same as the other. So you don't want to necessarily create hardships, but what you do want is to create an understanding and a reasonable working money plan for the both of you. And also, I'm going to touch on this. It's important to understand why she might be feeling this way, why she's hoarding her money, why she has such a adversity to contributing to the household. Why? Where does this come from? What does her money history look like? What is her money history and growing up with her set of parents or caretakers look like? So that's really important because you want to know the reason why she might be safeguarding this money and also feeling insecure and safe. So make sure that when you establish this date and this time, that this is also a safe meeting where you've established a safe situation where it feels comfortable, where it's open enough, where you can really share what's going on. Because if you've already been in this 2 years, this should have been, I'm just going to say this, should have been a question you asked early on, because knowing your money values is critical when it comes to relationships. By the way, this brilliant woman over here has put in a money values worksheet in the collective, the Facebook collective. So if you want to grab it, do that, grab it, because that might help you, especially in this situation. I'm going to pass it over to Jen.
Yes, I love what you said about having that money meeting. Super, super, super important and critical. I think when you look at this question, it's somebody that's already in the situation. And so one of the things that Summer started off with is like, did you just assume that this was going to be the way it was going to go, where you're paying for everything. And the thing is, this is what happens a lot. And Summer, I did get the book. It's right here now. She always asks me, okay, where's the book? I'm like, it's over there.
Where's your book?
Yeah. So this book, there's all these questions here. So it's before you move in together, get married, all that kind of stuff. There are questions that you should be asking each other. And so when it comes to the money situation and the bills, especially when one of you is making a significantly larger amount of income than the other person, you really have to talk about what to expect. Because what happens is we get so caught up in, we love each other, and we finish each other's sentences, and we're so in love, and then you totally forget about finding out if you're even financially compatible. And then you already do the marriage and the moving in and all that other stuff, and then you're trying to work backwards. And that can be a very, very difficult thing. And then especially if you're in a situation where the person doesn't know how to communicate respectfully. Mm-hmm. And that's what Summer was saying about making it safe, making it open. Are you with somebody that can't even communicate? Are you with somebody that's constantly yelling, cussing, verbally, mentally abusing? This is why we were talking about this being financially toxic. And, this kind of reminds me of what's happening right now in the Olympics with Simone Biles, where she's, pulling out of the Olympics, and it's this mental, she just needs a break. And it's so different had it been a physical injury, right? And we look at physical abuse and we can see it. However, there are also different forms of abuse. And there can be mental, there can be verbal, there can even be financial. And when we talk about financial, it's when somebody is having so much control over the finances and not allowing the other individual to make choices. So, even for the person that's not contributing, or maybe is in a situation where you're not making money, or maybe you're the stay-at-home parent, this is why it's also important for you to maintain your identity and have your own money, and I'm not saying make it a secret stash, depending on the kind of situation you're, but I'm saying, like, don't be so dependent where you don't even know what's going on. I've seen those situations where people are about to divorce, and then I'm asking them, well, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. I never took care of the finances. I don't even know what we have. Yeah. And Summer shaking her head. She and her husband have meetings all the time, and they know what's going on.
Well, I wouldn't say all the time, Jen, but we started.
I'm sure you all doing way better than most people out there.
It's like this, honey, can you come here? Because I'd like to show you the bill book, and I'd like to show you what's going on. And he's like, you got it taken care of. I know you got it taken care of. But so, we have a process, and it's so funny, Jen. I have to throw this in there. Yeah. So, we talk about monthly bills, such as utilities, right? Gas, lighting, electric, blah, 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 right? Water. So I tell my husband, we have reserves. We have credits in there. I know you're going to shake your head because you're like, that money's not making money for you. But I'm like, I have those for a reason. And I tell my husband, I have those. So just in case anything happens to me, you don't have to think about utilities for months. And he's like, you tell me that all the time. I said, do you know where to find that book? So you know where to find the balances and stuff? No. And I was like, I tell you, it's the book in the office.
Which is such a great point. So that I love what she's saying, because everybody's situation is going to be different. Everybody's going to handle and set up their thing differently. The point is that you have a plan and you have something in place and you talk about it. And so this is her and her husband's form of like emergency funds. It's just allocated already to specific things so that, he's set for several months and not having to worry about, and it gives him time. Versus, like, I'm not even going to go into it, like GoFundMe. Let's not go into that. I'm not today. So back to the question. So yeah, that's another topic.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, GoFundMe for funerals. I'm gonna leave it at that. We're not going there today. So, the thing about having these meetings is so important. So let's just say, like Summer said, how do you make sure that you're communicating about this and it's effective, it's respectful? But it's also so important at this point in time to recognize, do we even communicate respectfully? Can we have conversation, or is it just verbally abusive and you're just cussing at me all the time because I don't make money or I'm not contributing? So pay attention to that if you can even communicate, because here's the thing. If you decide to stay in this relationship, is this how you want the rest of your life to look like? And sometimes, and I love what Summer, you can talk about this more, you know, you have to separate the emotion from what's really happening. And so what I like to say is that you got to do the numbers. You've got to lay out, okay, this is what's being spent. This is what is going out towards expenses, and it's all laid out. Because if you can come to the meeting and your conversation with concrete math, your case is so much stronger than just being like, you know what, you don't do anything. You're not even giving anything. And then, well, what do you want me to do? And then you just say, like, I don't know, just help. Be specific as much as you can. And you can only do that if you know the numbers and what's going on, so that you can come to the conversation and suggest, hey, you would be great if you could take care of the water bill and gas. Or it would be great if you took care of those little trips we do once a month. Then there's something that the other person can wrap their head around. And so, you know, that's something that's super important, that you're coming to the table with evidence and numbers. So it's not just this arbitrary, like, you know, can you just help? Or you're not doing anything. So important to make sure that you are creating that plan, or at least knowing where you're at. And the thing is too, like I said, you know, you have to recognize that if the other person has no idea what's going on, you know, the thing that I think that is so important for what Summer said is understand the person's story. What's their money story? You know, where did this come from? Or she said, you know, are they hoarding the money? Is it that she felt, maybe she grew up that way, she saw her mom do it.
Yeah.
It could be that mom just kept her money. You know, dad took care of everything, and that's what she's modeling, and that's normal to her.
Yes, absolutely. Or maybe she felt like they just didn't have enough, and she never wants to feel like that again, where she just doesn't have enough, or she's scared about her financial situation or where they're going to be at, because it was a kid that grew up in maybe a situation that they're always struggling with money. And so they've got this poverty mindset.
Yes. What a great point. And I also mentioned too, when we were on IGTV, by the way, we are also on IGTV Live, 2 p.m. Eastern. Super fun. But I also did mention, you know, at some point though, you also have to recognize, after you hear the story, it could also be very well that she's just selfish. She may not care. Yeah. It could just be, you're just downright selfish. You don't care to contribute. You just want to mooch and leech off this other person. And she has no intention to contribute, no intention of sharing. Maybe she feels entitled. I mean, and that's a whole different situation, but recognize those red flags and recognize, okay, is this something that you can work through? And this is why it's so important to talk about this. If you have not moved in, if you have not gotten married yet, you know, and if you already have, I mean, you still should talk about this and figure out how you can work through this, because finances and communicating about finances and fighting about it is one of the biggest, you know, causes of divorce. And if you get to the point where you recognize, like, you know, she just doesn't care about me, she's just out for herself. Are you willing to put up with that? Are you willing to go through for the rest of your life? I mean, it's sad. I see people say this all the time. I just want peace. I mean, I've seen and heard stories of, you know, people that I know where they are, you know, whether, what's the word, domestic partners, and they're cohabitating and whatnot, or they're married. Right. And the guy in this situation, same kind of like this question, the guy has his man cave. He does kind of like, I'm just going to go to the kitchen, you know, take care of the kids. And a lot of times it's like not even his own biological kids, but he's already taken on that responsibility, and she does nothing. And then it's verbally abusive, and it's so sad. I see these situations, and the guy is just like, I'm just going to, you know, distance myself as much as I can, because I can't leave. I have this kid. And it's like, it gets so complex and layered. The person is so miserable. And it's just like, I just want to be happy. I just want peace. It's almost like you're just asking for like foundational bare bones. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like survival and not thriving. It's sad. It's sad. I've seen how this can end up looking at the tail end of it. Very not pretty.
Yeah, it can be really challenging. And to the other end of that, where you have maybe somebody, a woman taking care of the kids, staying at home. She can't necessarily have a job. I've heard this too, where they can't necessarily have the partner who's taking care of the kids get a job, because daycare costs just as much, and it'll put them in a new tax bracket. And so that tax bracket, and so that person is saying, well, you're not bringing in any money. Well, you know the factors as to why, so that person who's taking care of the kids can feel really like put upon, like they're not contributing enough, but when actuality they'd love to be out there,
Yeah.
but they have to be taking care of the kids, otherwise they're going to be thrown into another tax bracket having to pay childcare, which is exorbitant in costs. So yes, I've seen that too, where there's a lot of guilt placed on the partner who is at home doing a lot to take care of the family. I see it in military families a lot too, because as a professional moving from place to place to place, I wasn't always able to get a job right away, or I wasn't always able to get the same type of paying job because I had to take a job that was lower paying in a smaller, community, and there weren't a lot of options. And so you're just like, I have to take this job, make less money, not necessarily like it, but I have to contribute to my household. And I did that because I loved the person that I was with, and we had an understanding that I would go and support him. So you have to have an understanding with your partner about where you are. And it starts with, and I don't care if you're the spouse, you're the man, woman making more money, it doesn't matter. It means communication. Communication is the core to every relationship. If you see those red flags early on about, oh, I'm hoarding the money, I want to, safeguard this, these are red flags. These are big red flags, and you're going to have this conversations about money, about your own values, about your money values before you get deep into this. This guy or person is already deep into this. It's 2 years. So now you've got the option or the choice to make a decision. Come into this money meeting, have these money meetings, have open communication, understand what that looks like, and be understanding as to why that person is feeling that way, but how then can you move forward to really work on a plan? And what Jen said and what we mentioned earlier is really come out with the numbers, come out with your spreadsheets, come out with your plans, and separate the facts from the emotions. Because a lot of times when you can do that, you can see that you're not trying to point blame. You're not coming in this feeling awkward or icky. You're coming into this with a really open mind, trying to figure out the numbers, trying to figure out how you can work together and plan for your financial wellness as a couple. So.
I love that. One of the things too, I wanted to go back to what you said about the daycare. It's so true. When I was writing the book, there was some statistics I was looking at about the stay-at-home parent. And even more staggering is depending on what state you live in, that number is just different all over the country. And in fact, I know here in California, if you didn't even break past the 70,000 annual income mark, it was almost like there's no point. If you have kids, you might as well not put them in daycare. You might as well just be at home. It was just like, wow, because after the taxes and then your tax bracket can change and all these different factors, it almost didn't make sense. It didn't make any financial sense that the person was only making so much, but the kids, and those are personal things that you have to weigh out. So maybe when you net it out, okay, maybe you're only bringing 20,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
But is that worth your sanity so that you can feel good about contributing, that you are out there and communicating with other adults? And not everybody's, I am definitely not that person. Quarantine taught me that, if anything. I mean, I knew that, but quarantine really proved to me I am not a stay-at-home mom, even though I'm working at home. But there's some I have a mini bar and everything. It was crazy during that homeschool and they didn't figure it out. And so it's one of those personal choices where, and Summer says this all the time, choices are your superpower. And you have to decide if that's for you. I mean, there are people that love homeschooling and that's great. Not me, but you got to know yourself and do the numbers. And if it makes sense, because it's not a blanket statement for everybody, oh, you should do this. And so you definitely need to pay attention to that. But, the point I'm trying to make with this is that regardless of who is doing what and how much that person's bringing in, it goes past the numbers. There is always an intrinsic value to the person who's not literally bringing in income, whether they're taking care of the kids or taking care of the house or whatever that may be. And so I'll just say this also real quick. This is so important when you're looking at insurance and talking about life insurance, because sometimes people are like, well, they're not even bringing any money. Okay, well then how are you going to take care of the kids when you are supposed to still go to work?
Yeah.
You see that now there's a cost. So there is a value to, you know, not to make it sound like people are units and cows and commodities, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, you have to look at, there is a value to the person who may not be bringing in physical dollars. So just wanted to add that real quick, because sometimes, you know, I've seen this in many conversations where people don't look at that. They're only looking at, hey, are you bringing in a W-2? Okay, well then you're not, you know, why are we even having this conversation? It's like, no, there's still a value.
Oh, and I love that you mentioned that. And I'm going to take this to an extreme, Jen.
Yeah.
So as a military spouse, you get a lot of very traditional marriages. You know, husband is in the military, spouse stays at home, because we are moving so often that, you know, it's very difficult to find jobs. And even when you move overseas, super difficult. I was overseas with lawyers, attorneys, doctors, couldn't find jobs. So they were, just to find a purpose and a why for their lives, they were volunteering for Girl Scouts, volunteering for bus duty, volunteering for just to find a purpose. But here's the thing, and this is where I take this to an extreme. When your spouse, whether female or male, go out off to war, and it was all around me. Who's taking care of the home? Who's taking, and what value do you put on that? Who's taking care of those kids? Who's, you know, holding down that fort, so to speak. So I feel like a lot of times, especially with military families, they're pulling duty. One's pulling duty at home, one's pulling duty overseas, or one's pulling duty at war, and they're working together. They're working. So there is, like, as you said, that intrinsic value. And that is so critical when you're looking at the value that you're bringing to the relationship, not solely money, but the value that you're bringing to the relationship. Here's the thing, folks. We have given you guides on the Life, Love, and Money Collective Facebook page that you can pull out, that are free, that talk about values, money values. They're free to you. Your values. How are you coming into that relationship? What are your values? Because those values are the platform foundation for where you launch in your job, with the person that you match with, your partner, so to speak. So take a look at those worksheets, but know your values. Know your values, especially if you're just starting a relationship. And I think, Jen, we covered this in another episode where we talked about what questions to ask that potential partner before getting really involved. Right?
Yes. Yeah, we did. And I will show you. You can go to subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Life, Love, and Money Show with Summer and Jen. There are past episodes about the questions you should ask your partner before you move in, get married, and the things that you really need to cover. Because like we talked about, you know, too often we are only looking at our emotional compatibility. Do we get along? Do we love each other? And then you completely don't. I mean, I looked at all statistics. It's amazing to see how some people don't even know what their partner or spouse makes. I'm like, you don't have a financial plan. There's no way you can have a financial plan if you don't even know that number. That's income. I mean, there is no way you could even create an income or balance sheet if you don't even know those numbers. And it tells me you might be doing something, and you might be planning you might have your own 401k at work, and he has his stuff. But here's the challenge with that plan. It's broken because you haven't really come together to know the total picture. You're trying to plan it in your own separate vacuums. And that's what kills me when I talk to people about their finances, and they'll be like, well, yeah, I got something and he's got something. And have you guys talked about this together? No, but we have our own thing. And I'm like, are you married? Are you together or what? Are you trying to plan this future together? I mean, it doesn't work like that, because what ends up happening, I talk to people when they're in their 60s, and then they say, and then this is what they had been doing all this time. And now they're at their 60s, or they're at their job, or they want to retire. And I'm just like, this was not the route. You guys, I don't say this, but it's like, I'm kind of, also inferring like this should have been addressed 40 years ago. You can't fix it now when you want to retire and you realize you can't retire. There was no plan in place. Well, you had your own plan, but it wasn't the right one. And so, I say that because this is so important about talking about money. Far too often I see people like, oh, I'm going to retire. And you think of the numbers in years, and you look at it like, okay, I've been at my job for 20 years and I can take the severance package, or I can take the retirement package, or whatever it is. And you're thinking like, yay, I'm going to retire. And I'm like, okay, have you looked at how much you're going to bring in a year?
Yeah.
If you are used to 65 and then what you have is only gonna, here's the crazy part, it's gonna only last you based on the current lifestyle, it may only last you another 7 years.
Mm.
And life expectancy is lasting longer. So if you're 65 and it's only, and you want to stop working, and then your plan, the way it looks, is going to end in 7 years, how's that going to work? And that's what I see very, very often when people think that just because they're doing something, you don't know if that something is really accurate. So yeah, leave it at that.
Good advice, guidance. And check out Jen's book, Do Before I Do, right? Do Before I Do. Woo, woo, woo. So also, folks, I want to tell you that if you have not checked out our other episodes, please subscribe to our YouTube page. Go to our YouTube page. There's so much great information. There it is. There it is. And by the way, if you're checking this out on Facebook, any of the pages on Facebook, any of the pages on Twitter, go to our bio, check out our website. Jen, tell them our website.
We laugh because all the names are kind of different. But anyways, that's our site right there. Super exciting. If you go to our media link, you can see some of the articles that we've written for an international lifestyle blog. And so visit thelifeloveandmoney.com. And of course, if you ever have any, questions, you can always just DM us on our page. And I will also show you, Summer talked about these guides and other things. Ooh.
Oh, my phone went off. Sorry.
I get like some sound special effects here. So if you are interested in joining the collective, it's our Facebook community group. You can go right over here to, if you just type in the Life, Love, and Money Collective, that's the group that we have. We have resources in there as well, and super fun. And so we'd love for you to join us. So we have all those things for you.
And I want to tell you that those articles on our media page, there are going to be more. We're coming out with some radio gigs that we've been on recently. We're going to be going to California here shortly, and we're going to be featured on a live show. We're going to be talking about different things in regards to lifestyle, money, relationships. You're not going to want to miss it. Go check out our website. You can throw that back up there, Jen. Go check out our website. Then once you're at our website, tap on the little hamburger with, the drop-down menu. Go to media. Once you go to media, check out all the articles that we've written internationally as lifestyle writers for the different platforms in India, Pink Villa, Miss Malini. There's going to be more to come. We've got 3 out there circulating right now for publication. So check them out. You're not going to want to miss this. Check out our show. We want to thank you for joining us. Jen, let's jump to our nugget of the day.
Yes.
I'll let you go.
Right. Yeah. So my nugget of the day, I'm just going to repeat it. I think when you have this conversation with your partner, regardless, whether you're in a situation or a situation where like, oh gosh, we need to talk, like you need to do your numbers. And so this is about you understanding the expenses, you sitting down and mapping it out. It could be even be printing it. And so that when you talk to your partner about what's going on and you're asking them like, hey, you know what, it would be helpful if you can contribute, then you have numbers to work with. Let the math and numbers tell the story. I'm telling you, the conversation will have such a better head start than you just coming to the table and be like, yeah, you know what, you need a help. Well, I don't know what you need to contribute, but you need a help. That doesn't work. So have the numbers done. That is my nugget. I'm telling you, let the math do the story.
Exactly. I love that nugget, Jen. It's so important because there is going to be a breakdown in communication, a breakdown in those finances. It might even create some kind of like, ooh, okay, I'm not doing anything then, and so there's going to be a real struggle in that relationship. So great nugget. So I would say, folks, when you're coming into a relationship, starting a new relationship, also watch for red flags. I've heard from so many people and had some friends that have been in this situation where they had somebody bringing in the money. It was addressed that, the financial relationship was that the person would pay for the household bills and such and the mortgage. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, you can't spend money. I'm going to take your credit cards. I'm going to take your this and your checkbook, your this, your that. And then they became very controlling over the money situation. Watch for those red flags. Understand your own money values. Understand the money values of the person that you're partnering with. Really start planning out those right questions and start with a relationship with a firm, solid ground of understanding and communication about not just your finances, but about your relationship. And again, as I said, we talk about some of the questions that you want to start off with in another episode of the Life, Love, and Money Show with Summer and Jen. So check out our YouTube page, subscribe. All right, folks, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Please know that you can join us every Thursday here on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube. And let me tell you, not this next week, but the following week, it's going to be a goodie because we are going to be live together where we're talking. I know, I'm so excited. Where we're going to have a Q&A just for you. So you can ask us questions about the Life, Love, and Money Show, about being international lifestyle authors, about being Jen, a financial coach, me, an unlimited potential coach, doctor, podcaster, you name it. Check out our bios too. If you haven't had the chance, go to our website, check out our bios. All right, everybody. I want to thank you for being here. We appreciate you so much and have an amazing day. Thank you, Jen, too.
Thank you, Summer. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for watching the Life, Love, and Money Show with Summer and Jen. Dr. Summer Watson is the owner of the production and coaching company Core Women, LLC, is a doctor of psychology, has a depth of experience working in both for-profit and nonprofit in human services and mental health, is a professional coach, seminar host, documentary film producer, and an author. Jen Fontanilla is a former financial advisor and now a certified money coach, speaker, and has published 6 books. She has worked with organizations such as the Walt Disney Company, Warner Brothers, Target, Goodwill, and the U.S. Air Force. She loves working with women and helps them master their money and mindset to empower them to build the ultimate life without worrying about money. Join Summer and Jen every week as they go live on the Life, Love, and Money Show on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn.